Okay, the next question goes to Mr. Walz. Last year you co-authored legislation called the Employee Free Choice Act. It's better known as card check. It's been reported that the proposed bill would radically change how unions seek to be certified as the bargaining agent for workers and would replace the principle of secret ballot elections. Can you quickly explain how the bill works, and wouldn't this type of card check system be open to all types of pressures and intimidation? What's your position on the legislation?
It would, if that's the way the bill was written. So the premise of the question is, first of all, what we have in this situation is we've had, especially over the last 8 years, a gutting of the National Labor Relations Board. We've had over 4,000 people that were fired because they simply wanted to ask for safer working conditions, higher wages. When they finally got to the Labor Relations Board 2 or 3 years later, they finally said, yeah, you're right, you shouldn't have been. Well, that destroys people's lives. The balance has been shifted on this. And what this does, this allows the mechanisms to include the secret ballot of the 61 million Americans not part of unions who asked and wish they were, to be able to form together, to be able to, one of the founding principles of this country, to come together and negotiate for that. We're blessed in the First District where our employers understand that organized labor and our people who gather together provide them with high quality labor, consistent work, and turn in things under project. The problem is we have some employers, the bad actors in this, that don't allow it. So this piece of legislation does nothing more, and especially in a tight economy like this, to be able to say, you know what? If I work for AIG, I'd like to have a little more say in this than the guys who are taking the money and heading for the spas. The workers need to have a say in this. Dr. Davis said earlier that the free markets created wealth. People created wealth. People working created the wealth of this country. People built this country, not just a market that is skewed one way. So yes, I did, and I think at this time you would find that the majority of people would like to see our wages be able to be increased on a fair manner and negotiate a contract that can actually be signed into law. And we need to change the tone. This question sets up the tone that happens in Washington, the false choices. Why can't management and ownership work with labor? That's the way you get things done.
Dr. Davis, your position on the legislation?
I think that legislation is a travesty. It takes away the fundamental right that we enjoy in this country in a democracy, the right to a secret ballot. It's just that simple. My uncle was a union organizer in Chicago. The right to form a union is also an absolute right, but it must be done in the context of a secret ballot. And like so many things coming out of Washington, it's such a misnomer, the Employee Free Choice Act. It's anything but. All I can say, too, is that who opposed this but George McGovern himself?
Okay, a 30-second rebuttal, Mr. Walz?
Well, the mischaracterization of this, it allows people to choose the way they're going to do this. But the bottom line on it is that this ability, without pressure from the employer, to be able to ask for things that are fair, to be able to ask why our wages are stagnating and dropping over the last years, why healthcare is becoming unaffordable. I think most Americans would agree there needs to be a common sense approach to this and a sense of fairness, and this piece of legislation was designed nothing more than the balance to that. So we will disagree on this one, but I still believe that the solution to this is that management and labor working together built this country in the first place. Let's get back to that.
Dr. Davis, for rebuttal?
I agree that it's people that have built this country that are operating in the context of a free market system, government, rule of law. But this Employee Free Choice Act is something the Chamber has opposed. With all due respect, Congressman, your voting record with the Chamber of Commerce is a 60%, which in most schools that's a failing grade. It's one of the lowest in the congressional delegation in Minnesota. This isn't personal, but it is a matter of public record. And this bill is at the top of the complaints of the Chamber of Commerce and so many other organizations.